there's potentially kids on this app, and then you've got that on your page, profile, whatever you want to call it, messing with kids' minds again. Why can't kids
Messing
be
with
normal?
kids' minds.
Wild.
It is. I mean, I think we've already putting trans to one side. We've already had to deal the past decade of this fashion of being gay or lesbian, and now we've introduced
You had to
trans,
deal with queer
and now
people.
we've introduced. Hang on one second. Sorry.
And now
we've
something
introduced
else? Oh my
his,
God.
they, them, their, his, her, she,
Oh
we, whatever.
no. And you're 29?
I am. Yes, I'm 29.
How are you
And
going
apparently
to
reporting on international news.
How are you going to keep going? You know that things are going to keep changing and evolving as you get older, right?
What,
you-
It's going to be so difficult for you.
in what specific?
I
Do you
feel
mean
bad for
generally in the
you.
world,
I don't
or
know if
do you
can
mean?
handle it.
No. What do you mean? Things will change in the world. What do you mean?
They're going to just keep progressing and they're going to keep changing. And as humans, we should be adapting to this. For some reason,
Okay, so really, shall we adapt to someone might be walking around with, I don't know, being a monkey? Is that what you're saying? I mean, how
people aren't monkeys.
no, but if someone's born a male or a female, that's what you're born. How can you decide then, I'm going to wake up today and I'm going to be the opposite sex? That makes no sense.
You don't decide that.
You do, though?
No, you don't.
Okay, so how does it, educate me then, how does it work?
Your gender identity develops in the brain between the ages of 3 and 7. Children can recognize as early as that age that they are not the identity that people are assumed to be. They are not cisgender, which means a child can be assigned male at birth and develop into a girl naturally and normally.
Okay, so if a child is, if a child is born with male parts, how can they then decide that they're female?
They don't. I just said they didn't decide. I said they naturally and normally will develop the gender identity of a girl.
How can you just naturally do it, though? That makes no sense.
That's how it happens.
Well, that's your response. That's how it happens. Stop
It's the
messing
same
with
way.
kids' minds.
It's the
Stop
same
it.
way. What?
Stop. I really hope you don't have any kids in your.
I do. I have a
in
trans
your-
kid, actually.
Daily News, where
shocking.
in your brain, Daily News, where in your brain does gender lie?
What's your name? Sorry.
Adora, where
Adora,
in your
I'm not
brain
talking to you.
is
I'm not talking
gender?
to you. Shut up. I'm not talking
Part
to
of the
you.
brain is responsible for gender.
You need to sort your hair out first of all. So let's just worry about that before we worry about kids. Worry about that first.
You
Right,
can't.
so-
You can't handle it. So you got to personally attack Adora. She's just trying to talk to you. Are you okay?
She. It's a he.
Okay. All right.
You see, you can't handle it. You can't handle the conversation.
You might want to go just try to figure out why you feel so threatened in your masculinity. Just go figure out your shit, dude.
I'm so happy this live is killing it. This background's killing it.
Me too. Me too. I didn't plan on being here all day, but I'm here. Hello, Thomas.
Hello?
Hi. How
Can you
old
hear
are
me?
you? Yep.
I'm 29, I am.
You're 29.
29. Yeah.
All right. Let kids be trans.
Oh, okay, let's go. I agree by the way, so don't,
Awesome.
I came on here. Did your, sorry, I got the speech thing. Did your, kid tell you that they were trans?
They told me that they're not a boy.
Okay, cool. I just thought, as long as this is not forced on, then I agree on it.
Great. Why would you make your kid trans? That would be silly.
Some people force them to, like veganism and stuff.
Like literally how?
No. So typically what happens is when a child is transgender and they tell their parent that they're possibly transgender or they have a slight understanding of themselves, right? Like a child who's assumed to be a boy and they tell their parents with a lot of anxiety, hey, I'm actually a girl. Their parents are like, no, you're not. You have a penis. Right? That's what they say. Or they'll say, you're not old enough to know yourself, or you need to be an adult. That's an 18 thing. We're going to talk about this in a few years. That's what happens. So people don't push kids to be trans. People push trans kids to be cis.
Both ways, actually.
No.
Why? I am agreeing with you. If they come out with it, then yeah, it's good.
Good, because you can't just make a kid trans.
This
You can't
happened.
just make a kid cis. It's not both ways, though. It's not.
Even I agree with you, it is.
Okay, well, go find an example and like a study, right? Not just one single example of someone on YouTube that made up a story. Go find like a study on or some kind of statistics where children are being pushed to be transgender, and then come back and show it to me because I haven't seen one yet.
All right. So what age did you say? 3 till what?
3 to 7.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, no, I agree. No, I didn't come on here to argue. I just want to say well done with everything you're trying to do.
Thank you, Thomas.
No worries. Take care now. Ta-ra.
Bye. Thank you. Oh, hello, Bear. You can hang out for a few. Bear, you're like crunching something. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
All right. How old are you?
42.
Cool. Let kids be trans.
So I have a master's in early education and a minor in psychology. So I've taught children as early as 18 months up until 6th grade. And I have 2 children of my own. I've never had a 2-year-old, 3-year-old, or 4-year-old, or 5-year-old come up to me and say to me that they were a boy when they were a girl or a girl when they were a boy. Nor have any of my children have done that. I think sometimes, I'll give you an example. My daughter went through a phase.
Transgender children, hold on really quick though. The transgender people are just rare as a whole.
No, I understand that. I'm not disagreeing with that. I understand that. I'm just saying that sometimes, I'm sorry, I have a bit of a cold. Sometimes children go through stages in life and they're confused with their sexuality. I do believe that because it happened with my daughter. So for instance, my daughter's 17 now, but she went through a phase from 14 to about 16 where, she wasn't sure if she liked girls or she liked boys.
But still, Deanna, is it? That's sexuality. We're not talking about sexuality. We're talking about gender.
I understand that, but so for instance, being a mother, when I had my son, I didn't think of him anything but my son. I treated him as my son. That's it. Okay. I think a child at 17 having a surgery that's irreversible and they could be confused and not talk to a therapist, a psychologist.
You said anything about not talking about
No, you
therapists?
said not talking to a therapist. Absolutely not. You have to talk to a therapist.
Right, but I do think at the age of 17 is still too young to make a decision that you cannot go back on. You cannot change from one gender to a next. It's done.
No one's saying you can.
I
No,
understand.
nobody did say they can, and it's really interesting how you came up here and like threw out your education for what? So you could invalidate people and.
I'm not. No. I'm not invalidating people. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, you are. You have no understanding of what being transgender
Listen. Being a psychology major, yes, I do.
But
What is your
You said
background?
psychology minor.
You said, oh yeah, you did say that, and there's no
No. What is your background?
Yeah, you did say that. All right, you need to go back to your phone's home screen and then come back to the app.
Deanna, before you go on to say that it's irreversible, I just think you should go and look at the statistics on the amount of people that actually regret it, because it's not even that big. I think it's even under 1% in the UK. Yeah. So, but under also, 1%. Just for clarity, right, there are a lot of things that you can do in life that you can't change. For example, committing certain crimes. Once you've done that, you can't go back and fix it. Yeah, so there are people make decisions in life that they can't necessarily fix or reverse. And just because a 17-year-old has gone to their parents and thought, oh, do you know, I feel like I'm lost and this surgery could really save my life. If in 20, 30 years time that happens, which it probably won't, because the statistics are just not it. Like, the amount of people regretting their decisions it is minuscule, but the amount that child has to go through anyway, right? The amount that child has to go through to even be happy in themselves is a lot anyway, right? So after they've done all that talking and being made to be like they're sick or they're not sure, or are you sure this is how you feel? Are you sure? That child would probably already at that point think, perhaps, is this the right thing or wrong thing?
So I'm going to respond to that.
Please.
Comparing an act of violence to something that's changing your bodily.
Right. Yeah, it wasn't the greatest comparison, right?
Yeah,
But
that wasn't the greatest comparison. Do
Right.
I agree that trans children should be able, like trans people in general should change their identities if they wish? I do agree with that. So what I would gradually do if
No, we're going to go back again because children are not changing their identities if they wish. And if you have this education that you're talking about, you should have an understanding on what being transgender is.
I understand, but if they're trans,
But
you
you
could
don't
still
understand
be
because
you could
people are
still
not
be
changing.
transgender. You could still be transgender and still have genitals or still have a vagina. You don't
Right,
have
no
to
one's
go through the
changing
surgery.
any gender either. You're not changing your gender.
But what I'm saying is, if the person wants to change their body parts, this is what I'm saying, then they should live out, if they're a male, they should be transgender and live as a female for a while.
That's required. A minimum of a year.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. So make it where it's a little bit older in life so they can feel.
No.
Age is irrelevant. Your age is
I
irrelevant.
think you're wrong. Look at Shiloh Pitt. Look at Shiloh Pitt.
I don't know who Shiloh Pitt is.
Shiloh Pitt's Brad Pitt's daughter.
What about, okay,
Shiloh Pitt, from the time she was born, her mother let her dress every.
Wait, don't they use
anything she
they
wanted.
them pronouns? Wait, I think I know who that. Let me look.
And she was a girl at birth, and she dressed like a boy her whole entire life.
So what? That
So
happens.
now she turned and dressed into a girl. What I'm saying is, people get confused. They don't realize.
oh no,
Your gender
they were wearing
expression
clothing that they
doesn't
liked.
change who you are.
I'm
What are you
not
talking
saying
about?
that. I'm saying that making change. I'm just saying, if my son said to me, at the age of 17, I feel more like a girl than a boy. He's probably felt like that his whole entire life. Am I going to not condone it? Of course not, because he's my son. I'm going to love him no matter what. Am I going to say he has to make this rational decision right away to have this reassignment?
So you cannot come out at 17 and then get bottom surgery at 17. That's not how it works.
I'm not saying that, but some people are afraid to come out. So what I'm saying is,
Oh, they are.
I know they are. So that's what I'm saying. I think if you say at the age of 17, where they're not even considered an adult, and you're consenting them to do this surgery, and let's say it falls upon you that they really regret it.
There it is. So you're worried about your personal reputation and not about your child's
No, not my
health and
reputation,
well-being.
that I could ruin my child's life.
Yeah, it's about your child's well-being, health and well-being, and trying to make the
Exactly.
best
My
decisions
child's
for
health
them.
and well-being. My
So-
child's health and well-being is way ahead of anything else.
No, it's not. Not if you're just worried about you're worried about your own personal reputation there.
No, no.
Yeah. You said you didn't want to make a mistake.
No. I don't want to be
So what-
responsible.
Yeah, exactly.
For
So what
him
happens is
making
people-
a mistake, because
people wait,
that's my
right,
child.
right. So
That's
people
protecting
wait.
my
Hold
child.
the fuck on. No, it's not. 'Cause
You don't have to curse.
No,
Why do you have to curse?
Yes, I do have to curse. Because good moms say bad words. That's why. So here's the thing. Again, right? Fuck. I fucking forgot. God damn it. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, you're worried about your own personal reputation, right? Because you even said that. You said it. And what happens is so many parents want to wait until make their kids wait until they're 18, so they're not responsible. So my dumb child, right, made this decision to be trans as an adult, so it has nothing to do with me. They make this decision to do their surgery or whatever it is. That has nothing to do with me. That's not on me. That's not on my reputation. That's on theirs. That's not supporting your kid. That's not making sure that they're getting the best care that they need. And again, I'm not talking about having a child come out at 17 and saying you are approving their surgery. There is a process. There is a gender affirming care process in place that I advocate for children to follow, to not skip steps, for medical professionals to not skip steps, to make sure children are getting the proper health care that they need. But if you're so worried about your personal reputation, stop and think about your kid.
not worried about my personal reputation. I love my children
Literally
unconditionally.
said you were.
No, you misconstrued my words, and I don't like that.
Yes.
I did not say that.
Then
I
clarify.
okay. I have many friends in my life who are homosexual. Okay,
That has nothing to do with
organizing.
anything.
but what you don't understand is that you're just saying right now, okay, at 17 they should go see therapists or whatever and go through all the proper channels. But then I did hear you say before that they could have surgery at 17. Your
Yeah,
body,
they can
In
have
exceptional
surgery at
circumstances.
but wait a minute, your
So
body,
hello.
your
So if a
body is
child-
not fully
In
developed at
exceptional
17.
circumstances.
Ugh. If a child, again, is getting approved for some type of surgery, bottom surgery at 17, they have been living at the gender identity that they are associated with for a very long time, and also have been going through other types of gender affirming care. They had to have been on HRT, probably on puberty blockers. They had to have parental support by both parents. Right, so
And
this
going
is not
through
a child
the-
who comes out at 17 and gets surgery. Go ahead.
Yeah, and going through the wrong puberty at that age, which for the most part, the science shows us that puberty blockers are reversible, prolongs that option for that child to explore and to understand and to confirm, yes, this is what I want, or to say, no, this isn't what I want. But there's an option there that we can give our children so that male to female transgender people don't have to get facial hair, don't have to get large, the chiseled jaw, don't have to get large muscles, don't have to grow taller. There's these options out there that we can prolong that, again, which are completely reversible.
Okay, so I know of a transgender man who had bottom surgery and has a beard. So you tell me how that works.
Say that again?
I know of a transgender. He's a woman. He's a man, but came to a woman and has a full.
So he's a woman, or she's a woman. She's a transgender
But how is
woman.
that not confusing? Then what? He's talking about blockers.
I'm sorry, you're confused. Trans people aren't.
I'm not confused. But what
You're
woman-
very
what?
confused. You don't even know
Really,
that
a
means to be
woman has a
trans.
full-fledged beard?
Yeah, some people do. Some women do have beards.
Really? Find me one.
You do know some illnesses.
There's a disease where women grow facial hair.
A disease?
is it like-
Yeah,
is
and
it
they
like-
probably
A
electronically have
a
it
condition.
removed.
Sorry, wrong choice.
I think
of
it's
word.
wait. Is it not the ovary syndrome thing that causes women
Yeah,
to?
PCOS.
Yeah, PCOS. Yeah. So
Thank you. It's a condition.
But I
So
understand.
some
But
women
do you understand how confusing that might be to a young child? If you
Not
have,
No.
children, it's confusing to you, Deanna.
no. If I had a 5-year-old and I walked into a bathroom and a woman per se with a
Deanna,
long
Deanna.
beard walked into the
Transphobia
bathroom.
just spewing all over the
Deanna,
place. Here it
Deanna,
is.
where, Deanna,
You know
so
what?
are
Just
you-
because someone doesn't, you know what? This is the problem with the world. Because we can't agree to
There
disagree.
we go.
No, we're not agreeing.
Because
Deanna,
we can't
there it
agree to
is.
disagree,
I'm here.
you guys have to spew
Deanna.
out curse
Here on me.
words and all this other
Deanna,
stuff. You're uneducated. You're totally uneducated.
Wait, can someone mute her? Can someone mute her?
I'm uneducated.
Deanna, listen.
No, I'm not listening.
She's gonna
I'm
run
leaving.
away.
Goodbye.
There. She's gonna run away.
Right. Listen, Deanna. Listen here. I think the only person that's confused here is you, because if you, sorry, where's your? You don't sound American at all. Where are you based, by the way? Because in your bio you've got Irish.
I'm half Irish and half Italian, but I am in America.
Right. Okay. Anyway, it's irrelevant because a major or degree is still education, right? You're sitting there right now saying that a child would see a woman or a person, okay, male, female, men or women, right? Doesn't matter. They've got a beard, right? The child is not going to look at that human or that person and be confused, right? Because the only person or the only people in society that is saying that the only people that can have facial hair is men is you. The child is not going to look at that person and be like,
So wait, that's a hypocritical comment because you said that.
No, it's
at
not.
Yes, it is because you just said at 5 years old they know that they're a female or a male.
I
so
didn't say
obviously-
that. I didn't say that.
Well,
I
somebody
said
said
male
it. They
or
said it between the ages of 2 and 5 they can determine whether they're a male or a female. They know what their genitals are.
Yes, between those
No,
ages.
No.
Yeah,
I
you
didn't say male
misrepresented
or
that.
female, and I literally said nothing about genitals.
Yeah, literally.
But
Somewhere between the ages of 3 and 7 is when a child is typically able to fully understand their own gender.
And how do you know that? Are you 7?
Am I 7? First of all, I used to be 7, and when I was 7, I knew that. First of all, Deanna, I used to be 7, and when I was
children? No, answer my
Deanna,
question.
let
Do you
her
have children?
answer
It is
the
not.
question
Who the fuck
first.
cares, Deanna?
Because
Shush.
people who have children
Deanna,
are the
yelling
ones who should
doesn't
be
get it
talking.
any further.
No.
You don't have kids. You can't have
Yelling.
kids. You can
The-
become a woman all you want. You can't have a baby.
here
Deanna,
are,
you
just
asked me a
fucking
question I was
ruminating,
answering.
Adora, shut
Here we
up.
go.
God damn
Deanna,
it.
you are spouting the most toxic stuff ever because you are literally
Okay.
trying to classify what in your world is what a woman is. When in actual fact, you're wrong. You are trying to literally identify what a woman is towards your social norms, and it's
She's
not
gone.
right.
Why
Yeah.
do I feel so
Deanna is
threatened
very
by
privileged,
you?
and to the privileged, equality feels like oppression.
Literally.
Boom. What the hell?
I
is
love that
this?
line, Kasha.
I know, it's so great. So, again, if anybody actually gives a shit about how children's gender identity develops, there is an article, a great article on healthychildren.org, which is by the American Academy of Pediatrics. It is called Gender Identity Development in Children, and it does talk about how gender identity develops in children between the ages of 3 and 7, how children can recognize that, whether you are cisgender or transgender.
And go and educate yourselves on body facial hair. Like, come on, if that's your concern. Jesus, man.
I'm sorry,
Like,
again, English isn't my first language, so what should I call that? Where is it a condition?
Oh, polycystic, let me look it up. Let me see
Yeah,
what it
is
is.
it like I don't know. Like
I think it affects the ovaries, but it just basically, I don't know enough, so I don't want to say too much, but it just
no, but I
causes
just want to
like
know what I should call it in future reference.
facial.
I think it's just it's considered a syndrome, polycystic
Syndrome.
ovarian.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll call it a syndrome. Thank you.
It's that was.
All right,
sorry,
Jen, what's up?
Okay, yeah, I wanted to ask. So there's
Shit, sorry, I need your age.
Oh, I'm 34.
All right, go ahead.
So there's a part of the process, how like when you're going through, I guess like getting the therapy, seeing your doctor, and all that. So there's a
Condition.
part.
Condition. The word. Sorry, use condition because the S is syndrome.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sorry, Jen.
Okay, so from what I heard, you have to do about I guess it's like 6 months or to a year or even up to 2 years of living the life of the gender you desire. So what does that entail?
Usually like pronoun changes. You can change your expression. You're living within society, so like using the bathroom that aligns with your identity, playing sports that aligns with your identity. If you're in school and if somebody says like boys on this side of the room, girls on this side of the room, you go to the proper area, like things like that. You're living as your gender in society, whatever that means for you.
Okay. And okay, so that's going to be more for like a child, I guess. You're talking about like when you're talking about like schools and
No,
sports and stuff like
technically
that.
that's for everyone. I mean, when you
Like
live
what about
as-
like for an adult?
you would still live as your gender identity.
I know, but
I
like
don't know how that
what
works
are
for HRT. I think that is a requirement for surgeries, but I think it also varies on like what state, what state you're in or what country you live in. Like Adora.
Hello? Yep.
So like with HRT as an adult, did you have to live as your identity or just for surgery?
Not for HRT, just for the surgery. For HRT, I live in an informed consent state. Literally just went into a Planned Parenthood, spoke with them for an hour about both the benefits and the side effects of HRT, and I came out of there with a prescription. It was that simple for that in an informed consent state. For surgery, yes, I had to be on HRT for an entire year to make sure that my body could could properly handle HRT, because once you get the surgery, you're going to literally need to be on HRT. And if your body can't handle HRT, surgery's off the table for you. And also, I had to be living authentically as my true self for an entire year in all aspects of my life.
And
Okay, but like,
Adora, was it the
what
same for you? Did you have to have psychological evaluation before
HRT?
surgery?
For surgery, yes.
Yeah, that's the same here in Canada. So we have to have 2 appointments with a gender psychologist to confirm if we are stable enough, I guess, to be able to have a gender surgery. So I had to have that done twice.
I do want to be clear that my psychological evaluation was the bare minimum. Like,
Oh,
it was
really?
essentially nothing.
Yeah, mine was
Yeah,
at least an hour appointment both times.
See, I didn't get any insurance, so I only needed one referral from a therapist. The therapist in question was not a fan of the system at all, and asked me the basic questions, gave me a gender dysphoria diagnosis, and that was it. As an adult, I want to be clear to everyone listening, that is my experience as an adult. I was able to make the decision about my body the way that we should be able to. For kids, it's different. But as an adult, I was basically just able to sign up for surgery.
And Jen, I just wanted to add that about what you were talking about earlier about, sorry, I had voice surgery, so I'm doing the best I can. You were asking about kids and stuff. So, kids know who they are at a very early age. When can they see a gender specialist? Mel can answer that better than I can because she's going through. As a kid gets older, no surgeries are happening unless they are 18 years of age or older, unless under certain circumstances that can happen at an earlier age, like 17. But still, there's the evaluations, the psychological evaluations, the hormonal use. All these things have to come into play before surgeries are even an option.
Hi, Jen. My name's Jaden. I'm a trans man, and I wanted to come up and I wanted to speak on my experience of how I received gender affirming care, because I did also receive it as an adult, but it was different than Adora's experience. I'm not sure if Adora had insurance, but I had insurance, so I had to go by requirements. Did you have
insurance? Everything was out of pocket for me.
Yeah, okay. So when it comes to Adora's experience, because she had the money to do so, her access might have been a little easier, a little quicker. When it comes to my experience, because I didn't have the financials to do so, I had to rely on insurance, which I'm even lucky it covered in general. But so I had to see a therapist for 3 months before I could even access hormone replacement therapy. And I had to live as a man in society for a year. So prior to seeing my therapist, I had been living in society as a man. So I was able to kind of bypass having to see a ther-
Ah, I don't know why that echo thing is
Okay.
weird.
So I got to bypass having to see a therapist for a year, and I just had to meet the minimum requirements of seeing them for 3 months. After that, I was able to see an endocrinologist. However, it was a minimum 3 months wait in order to see the endocrinologist. And I had to have that letter before I could even make an appointment. And then once I received hormone replacement therapy, I wasn't allowed to have any gender reassignment surgeries until I was on hormone replacement therapy for 1 year. So it's not always like just a snap of the fingers and you can get access to what you need, even as an adult.
Okay, so what I was, I guess, trying to ask is, like, who's the one that refers this? Is it the therapist? Is it the doctor that tells you that you need to live this authentic life as a gender?
What do you mean? For children?
Yeah, children or adults. Like who's the one that's keeping the track of what you're doing for this
They don't keep
year?
track of it. You just believe you.
So you can just say, yeah, I have been living
Well,
authentically.
why would you do that?
Because I guess it's the easier way to do the process.
You would fake. So if you're not going to live your identity, why would you want surgery or
Well, that's why
HRT?
I'm asking, like, what are the steps then? Like, okay, so you're saying, like, how would it be determined that you're actually living a authentic life is what I want to know. Like, what makes it authentic?
Nobody said anything about having an authentic life.
Well, because no, I've heard that you have to live the like. Okay, so if you're trying to be a trans man, you have to live the authentic life as a man.
You're not
You
trying
know.
to be a trans man. You are a
Okay, so
man.
that's what I'm saying. What determines it to be authentic? What determines it to be that you're living? So
You're
basically, you're just living.
misunderstanding. Let me reinstate what I said. So my insurance required me to be living in society as a man for a year prior to receiving HRT. But I was required to have a letter from my therapist stating that I had a gender dysphoria diagnosis. And I had to see my therapist for a minimum of 3 months as an adult.
Okay, so then if you're going through your insurance, then what do you say to your insurance? Yes, I have been living. I just been living for a year.
The insurance needs the letter from your therapist. It's not like they
Okay,
need
so then what do you tell your therapist?
you talk to your therapist about things that you do in your daily life, just like any other
Okay, so
person
that's what I'm
does.
saying. Like, what are those things that you're doing for it to be
Is
considered
this
that
a
you're
real
living?
question right now?
Yes.
So
Like,
different
what are the
people
things? Like, what are the requirements that you need to say, or
There
what
is
do you
no
say to your therapist?
requirement. You just need to have an indication that you're living as your gender identity that you're saying you have.
Like, okay, so then what would that
So
be? Like,
on
how
the
would I be able to
child,
prove?
like
How would I
on the
be able to
child
prove
like
to my
HRT
therapist that I'm living as a woman?
on the child HRT form, right? It says like 1 to 2 years, depending on your age, of a social transition. They just consider it a social transition. So it could be haircuts, it could be, and it's a combination of things. You're not just going to cut your hair and be like, okay, you're a boy. Like, you have to live as your gender identity. And yeah, like Sherry said, you disclose your life details.
Okay, can I have examples of like what those examples would be?
How about it's none of your business?
Didn't I
Because,
already say this in the
but
beginning?
also, but
I
also,
already said
Jen,
this.
it's none of your business how someone discloses their gender. Because
Then how would a therapist be able to determine then? Like, how would they be able to determine if you're living a certain way?
They don't. They look for consistency in the statements that you're making.
So what do they follow you around in your life?
No,
Like
No,
that's
they look for
consistency
consistency in
in
the
its
statements that
statements.
you're making.
so the words that are coming out of your mouth is basically you need
Yes, that's how therapy
Yes.
works.
that is absolutely
No,
ridiculous.
therapists do not tell you who you are. They do not tell you how you are supposed to live. They talk to you about things, and they try to make sure that you are being consistent in the things that you're saying, and that you understand the things that that you are saying. And if you can show that, then that's what they're looking for.
Yeah, so like if
Okay,
there's a
but you
child,
guys
they
are
might
still
be
not
like,
giving any
if
examples.
there's a child,
you're just
right?
repeating yourself.
Hey, hello, hi. If there's a child, right, who is assigned to male at birth but is a trans girl, right? So they're talking to their therapist and they're on HRT, they would talk about things like the therapist would be like, "Oh, which bathroom do you use at school?" And they'll be like, "Oh, I use the girls' bathroom." Or like when I go to Target, I use the women's restroom, or I go with my mom, or my mom and my sister and I would go get our nails done. Like they just indications that you're living as a girl.
Okay, so getting your nails done is living as a
Oh
girl?
my God.
Okay. Jen.
I'm giving you
I want to try a
examples.
slight. Sorry, Mel.
You're fine, you're fine.
I want to try a slightly different angle. Would you say that there are women that that present themselves very masculinely?
Sure.
Jen?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Okay, so we agree then that there are women who present themselves very masculinely.
Yes.
And there are men who present themselves very feminine.
Yes.
And they're totally within their right to do that. They're not less of a man. They're not less of a woman, right? There are masculine women and feminine men. And there's still men and there's still women. Right?
Yes.
Okay. So you're looking for specific criteria that the therapists need to see. I think it would be wrong to require transgender women to be wearing dresses and makeup all the time, because what if a transgender woman doesn't want to wear dresses and makeup? What if a transgender woman wants to present masculine? Should a trans woman not have that right?
Oh no, absolutely they can.
Right. So we can't look for these stereotypes. We can't expect a trans woman to be wearing dresses all the time and wearing makeup all the time. We can't expect a transgender man to have a full beard because maybe he doesn't want to, maybe he can't, or and I don't know. Maybe there are trans men out there who do want to wear dresses. We cannot expect a certain presentation out of transgender people because we don't expect that certain presentation out of cisgender people.
Okay,
So
then why would there be
we have to rely on consistent statements that are being made about ourselves over an extended period of time. That's it. Just our own consistent statements.
So basically you just had to go to therapy for a year? Because I don't understand the whole
and show
living
consistency.
authentically as
If you're not showing consistency, you're probably not going to get cleared for your HRT.
showing consistency of what? Living?
In your statements that you make about yourself.
All right. I don't have a lot of time left. You're
Like,
incredibly
What do you mean the
disingenuous.
statements you make about yourself? Do you guys even listen
my
to
God.
yourselves, what you're saying?
The statements that you make about yourself are literally part of gender. Gender is multifaceted.
Bye, Jay Bunny. Goodbye.
Yeah.
God damn it.
We tried.
Hi, gun.
She follows like all the ops, by the way. So
Did what I was saying make sense?
yes.
Okay, good. I haven't really tried that line for that particular argument yet.
I'm going live.
Hello, Jody. How old are you?
Hi, I'm 51. I am a very supportive mom of a 19-year-old trans masculine young gentleman. We noticed at age 4, he was, I guess the old term, what was it called? Tomboy. So we were like, okay, he likes playing with boys' toys, very neutral colors. He is a twin, both born with female parts. His twin is very feminine. She's born a girl. He was born with female parts. But like I said, at age 4, we started noticing certain things. Before he turned 5, he started crying. Why am I a girl? Why am I like my sister? I'm a boy. So we kind of like just listened to him, explained it to him, and we supported him as he grew up. At 10 years old, he was going to be starting a new school, and he had long hair. And he said, "Mom, please, can I get a haircut? I want short hair. I want a mohawk." And he does have an older sister that is quite older than him. She had a salon. So he asked, "Can I please go see my sister to get a haircut?" And it was more so for mine and her at that time. We were like, oh, maybe we should get it cut as a long mohawk. But that was more for us. It was all kind of new to us and everything, but we still wanted to be supportive because we had other siblings that were a part of the LGBT community. But he was the first trans in our family. So that was fine. He went
Trans
through...
person. We don't want to say the first trans.
Oh, sorry. I'm still kind of learning, and even though I'm 51, I still slip up and stuff. But so anyways,
So Jody, hold on a second. So you agree that we should let kids be trans, correct?
yes. I mean, if you are supportive, no matter what, like some people say it might be a phase. Okay, if it's a phase, it's a phase. But why does it have to be so huge? Like I heard you say, there are people out there that were meant to not be who, not, you didn't say this, but I truly believe that some people were born the wrong gender. As for my son, when he started going through the hormone therapy, he started on Lupron. We live in Canada, by the way. And his doctor, he had to start seeing an endocrinologist. So, and he didn't have his, he hadn't started going through puberty yet. So the doctor wanted to know when he was going to start going through puberty. So there was a blood test that could indicate when a child is going to start going through puberty, because my son indicated very sternly that he did not want his breasts growing, because all his sisters, he has 3 other sisters, we all have very large breasts. So that was one of his biggest fears, that was going to start happening. So, and that's something that he did not want. So we got the test, and the minute he had to go through that twice. So once the second test showed he started going through puberty, that's when he started using the Lupron. He was on Lupron up until he turned 16. And the whole time, his endocrinologist told him everything. He had to start seeing a therapist. So my son started seeing a therapist when he was at the age of 12. And he's 19. We also went through everything about, going on testosterone, what it would be like, what are the risks, everything. We also told my son, or not told him, but we went through an education part of, there's many different ways of being the way you want to be. If you want surgery, if you want to go on testosterone, or if you don't want to go on testosterone, you still, want your female parts, but you're more masculine, but you go by him, he, or they, them, or all of it, right? And he decided that, no, I am he, him, that's it, that's all. And we were very supportive of it. We're a very supportive family. And we found that he felt very supported, as well as the risk of suicide significantly went down, because before he was a little bit scared to start talking about a lot of things. And he did say that he had ideation of that. But then as he grew to know that we supported him fully and how he was and who he was and how he, felt that this was supposed to be the way he was, then he felt more comfortable with that. We also found out when just before he was going to be going to start his Lupron, our doctor did a ultrasound on his uterus and his ovaries. They were actually significantly smaller than what an average 12-year-old should be. From the time of age 4, he thought boy, was boy, spoke boy, teased everybody like a male, that, a male would tease their sisters or whatever, right? That was truly him. And I felt like if I did not support him on that I don't think that I would have my son here today.
Yeah, that's a very common experience, unfortunately, for transgender people. I appreciate you for supporting your son, and sharing your story. I do only have 30 minutes left, so we are looking for people who do not think trans kids should be allowed to be trans.
Okay, sorry.
Hey, Jody, I just want to say thanks for sharing that story. I just followed you back.
Awesome.
I'm always glad to find a cousin, a relative who's Indigenous and from Canada, so that's pretty cool.
Awesome.
What I wanted to ask you though, my train of thought. No interrupted. Fuck.
That's me every time.
What
I've actually watched quite a few of your lives, but never really said anything before. But I would love to communicate more with you.
Yeah, let's do that. I would really like that. As you can tell, I just hit puberty too, so I'm going through that.
I also have a non-binary grandchild who is 11.
Awesome.
Oh, that's what it was. I wanted to say, hi. Gonna
Hi,
ask
hi.
something. Because not a lot of parents are very supportive. So I just want to say I appreciate you.
Thank you.
To no bounds, because again, we parents need to support their children, and if they don't have that, and like you said, that they have a very good quality of life, but that wasn't a thing, or that could have been way worse.
Yeah.
I'm just I'm proud of you, Mama Bear. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. I just saw that I have an older daughter who's 34 going 35. When she was in junior high, she had a lot of friends. That's when like a lot of younger kids started coming out at that time. They were being thrown out like garbage, and it just hurt my feelings. I was just like, this is so wrong. I'll never do that. I don't understand why or how parents could do that. They're still the same person.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you for
All right,
letting me
thanks
talk.
again,
I
Jen.
really appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. You take care.
Yep. Have a good one. All right. Let's see if we have anybody else.
That was nice.
Mel, what kind of burger was that? I'm so hungry now. I might go.
Really good one. It was. I don't know. My husband got it. It had like a bunch of shit on it.
Whole bunch of shit on it. Wow, that sounds so appetizing.
That sounds terrible. Anyway.
Any specific kind of shit, or was it?
Yeah,
like
there was
just
like
shit?
the guacamole on there, and like cheddar cheese, and pickles, and lettuce, and tomatoes, and I think that was it.
Was it from Five Guys?
No, it's like a local place.
Okay.
So it was really good. Anyway, Em, what's up?
Hi,
Hi, how old are you?
I'm 21.
Cool. Let kids be trans.
So my question for you is, what are your opinions on puberty blockers and giving puberty blockers to young children who think they are trans kids, I suppose?
Great, because they're reversible.
You see, that's not all exactly true. There are symptoms of being on puberty
For
blockers
the
that have
most
been
part,
found to be not
puberty
reversible.
blockers are relatively reversible.
Relatively.
All medications have benefits and risks. We advocate for children to be informed, for parents to be informed, and make sure that you know that the benefits outweigh the risks. Also, when it comes to puberty blockers, children are well monitored. They get checked up every 3 months to make sure that everything is going okay. Also, these risks that you're talking about increase if you are on puberty blockers for longer than, I think it's 4 years. So they're typically recommended for 3 years and under for transgender children.
Mm-hmm. And I would agree that the benefits, well, puberty blockers, they help their mental health and stuff, but I would be concerned about the physical effects that they'd have on their bodies that they might not fully understand.
Why are you putting physical health above mental health? I would say that they are both equally important.
Yes, I didn't say that physical health was more important than mental health at all.
As well, I mean, a child going through the wrong puberty, that's not a healthy thing physically or mentally.
Okay, but some of the side effects, like, they're pretty bad, I would say.
What side effect?
And one concerning one,
Like what?
no, physically, and
Like what?
one
What side
that would be concerning is that it is possible that they will totally lose their fertility.
When
And I
does
would
that
be
risk-
concerned
when does
that,
risk-
you know, if in the
When does
future,
that risk?
can I finish my point, please? In the
No,
future,
when-
if they
no.
decided
When
to
does that risk increase?
detransition, they would
You were
not
told no.
be
You
able
were
to
told
have children.
no.
Yeah. So yeah, When does that risk increase?
What?
The risks increase when the child is on puberty blockers longer than recommended. But if a child does lose fertility, that is not the end of the world when we are trying to keep a child alive, happy, and healthy when they are still children. Fertility is not something that we need to be, when we're trying to treat the child's mental health at the time, fertility is less important.
Okay, yeah, that's a fair point. But I did see a video on this app of a trans creator talking about their experience with going on puberty blockers at a young age, and then once they reached, I don't know, adulthood, I suppose, they decided they wanted to detransition, and they were talking about their own personal experience
So
with
was
like.
it from puberty blockers or HRT? Probably from HRT, right?
No, it was from puberty blockers.
So
Okay.
what?
And it was
It's
They were-
inevitable that anytime you have any kind of procedure that is done by thousands and thousands of people, there are going to be people who regret it. So sure, there are some people who go on puberty blockers and regret it. It's a thing that happens. We don't want that. Ideally, we want nobody to regret it, but that's not realistic. We can't get to 100% success. It's not going to happen. So when someone does end up regretting it, we help them. We have people that specialize in helping detransitioners. Detransitioners are valid people who deserve access to the healthcare that they need, but we cannot use their experiences to take away from other people. The vast majority of the time, once you start gender affirming care, the majority of us by far end up not regretting it.
okay. That's fair enough to say, but I just
I
wanted
want
to
to
give
make
you
a
an
point to you real quick. I am someone who was not on puberty blockers, but I was on HRT for 6 years. And I stopped taking HRT and I was able to have a child. So it doesn't affect everyone the same, and it doesn't always cause infertility.
Oh, I know that, but there is still a chance of infertility,
Yeah.
and there is also
Condoms,
a
Em.
chance of blood
Do you
blood
believe in
clots,
condoms?
gallstones, weight
Do you believe in
gain,
condoms?
acne. I'm literally reading this off.
Yeah, we
the
know
NHS
about these
website.
side effects. Yeah, if you go and read side effects on all the medications I take, it sounds fucking terrifying.
But I'm
There's
just
side effects
saying,
to
do you know,
anything.
if you're a woman, you've been on, like, I personally, I take birth control, and I know that it's hormones, and those hormones have negative effects on a lot of women.
And you still chose to take the birth control, right?
Yeah, and what I'm saying is, would
And
you
if you had negative side
like
effects
for your
from that
child
hold
to
on,
be experiencing
hold on.
negative
Hold on.
effects?
If you had negative side effects from that birth control, would you go advocate against the birth control for no one else to take it?
I mean, I'm saying, you know, you can't get birth control, you can't
If
get a
you
pill
had
unless you're old enough to
If you had
decide.
negative side effects from the birth control you took, would you go and advocate against the birth control for everyone? Yes or no?
Okay, you're kind of twisting it a small bit now, but
That's
No,
also
I'm not
untrue.
twisting anything. I'm
because-
trying to get you to see
can
what
I
you're
just tell
doing.
you something?
You're talking about
Do you know-
one person's negative experience with puberty blockers, and you're advocating against it now. So yes, some people have
Sorry, Ben.
blood clots from taking birth control. So should they go tell everybody else not to take birth control because they got blood clots?
I just wanted to tell you, I don't know, do you know this, but you're obviously American, but I'm Irish, and the NHS, which is the English healthcare system, has now banned children's puberty blockers being enforced in private sector medical healthcare settings.
I'm also from the UK, and before you go and blast all this nonsense, I think you should go and refer
It's kind
back
of rude,
to.
but okay, thanks.
It's not no. I'm not just before you go. No, listen. 'Cause
We can all
I'm-
have our own opinions.
No, but you're not speaking facts on the NHS. You're not speaking pure facts at all. Okay, the NHS.
I have an article open right now. Ban on children's puberty blockers to be enforced in private sector in England. Just look that up right now.
So that they can
Explaining it,
still, they can
politicians or scientists or doctors.
They also can still provide, they actually can still prescribe puberty blockers to children over there.
Yes, they can, but
They can.
I'm just saying the regulations have become much more tighter. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
they're doing that
they've
shit
stopped
here
just kind
too.
of
It doesn't
giving
mean
them
they
out.
have anything to back it up with.
But
There's not enough. There's not enough studies done on the long-term effects of
They
taking.
even said that they
hormone
just want
changes.
more studies to be done. They want more studies to be done. They're not saying
You
there's
do
not
know,
enough.
you do know the NHS have not said that they are dangerous. They've said the NHS have fully said that they are relatively safe. Like the NHS is not
did say that.
against it at all. There is a lot of talk about they just need a bit more evidence, okay? The NHS have not said these are really bad and we shouldn't do it. No, okay? And I know this for a fact because I do a lot of research on the NHS. My family all work in the NHS. The NHS is not against puberty blockers at all. They are very much advocating for it. They just need a bit more. They're just doing a bit more evidence, and that's it. They've not said they're dangerous. They've not said, "Wow, we should never give these at all." Like, and they can
Okay.
still give them, by the way.
Yeah, but can I just say one thing?
Go on.
Why would they restrict them all of a sudden if there wasn't proof that they were having a effect, or there was something that
Political impact.
was going wrong?
Go on. Did someone say something?
I said political impact.
Are you from the? Are you from what part of Ireland? Are you from? I'm guessing. Oh, you said NHS England, so you must be from the UK, right?
No, I'm from Ireland, but there were Irish children going over and getting
Wait, so
the,
how are you talking about the NHS then?
because I'm educated on the matter. I
Wait, but
suppose.
how are you talking about the NHS when you don't even use the National Health Service?
Because I know what goes on in the world. What
You know,
kind of
people
question is
talk
that?
about the United States
But
healthcare
you
and they have no
don't
understanding
know.
of it either. Bear, it happens.
But you don't know anything about the NHS because you're reading from an article, but you're not even reading. You're not even fully aware of what they've even said over the recent few months. Like you're not even. Have you even watched the news? Have you even watched what doctors have said about?
Okay,
Because it's all
Bear, if I use your logic against you, you can't speak on anything about the US because you're from the
If you
UK,
want
so
to
you don't know
say it
anything that's going on in
correctly-
the US.
I haven't said anything about American healthcare.
Okay.
And again, it's fine if you would actually give accurate information.
I am giving accurate information.
So you left out a
Um,
lot of important details.
Okay, fine.
are
Listen,
still-
the HSE.
They
the
are still
HSE is
prescribing. They
the
are still
Irish one, and
prescribing.
they don't have the gender affirming medication over here, so the Irish children have to go to the NHS to get them.
Gender-affirming
That's why I'm talking
medication.
about the NHS. What?
What do you mean by gender affirming medication?
Puberty blockers, or when they're an adult, then the
Yeah, HRT.
there is what's the other? Yeah, HRT and the other one.
You can get that as a teenager. So again, here's the thing: the NHS is still they're still prescribing puberty blockers there, even though they say that they need more evidence. We're on a case by case basis, which is how it should be done anyway. We're here in the United States. There are multiple states where they've actually have banned puberty blockers with no reasoning, no valid reasoning. So I don't know.
See, that's more of a political thing.
So what is
And
what is your purpose for being against puberty blockers? Why do you feel the need to do that?
My thing isn't a thing of I don't care about democratic or anything of that. I'm on about
why do you
health.
care? Why are you so concerned about someone else's health care?
Because if it was my child, I'd be concerned about, them getting a blood clot or them being infertile. I would
don't think I
think
have
about
any
these things.
Their actual mental health.
Yeah, you don't think I have any concerns with my daughter being on HRT?
I never said anything like that.
So
Do you think a child can decide
course
when they're
you do.
12 if they want to be a mother or a father?
Okay, do you think then in that opinion, then what about antidepressants? Because antidepressants can have really adverse effects.
That's a completely different
No,
conversation, and
it's
I'm not here to
not.
talk about that. So.
Oh,
Not really.
okay. I've got ADHD, so the adverse of ADHD medication at a young age they can have quite severe side effects. What's your opinion on that? Should my mum be like, no, I'm too concerned about these side effects, don't give my son this medication?
I mean, yeah, if the side effects were that bad, or if the side effects were really concerning, I would seriously look at
What about the fact
different
that Bear
methods
is
of
having
treatment.
what about the fact that Bear is having difficulty functioning with his ADHD on his daily life, and he would like some type of solution to help him to be able to function better?
Yeah, well, I would agree that you'd have to, add up the negatives and positives and see which one outweighs the
That's
other one.
what we're doing already.
All I'm saying is,
That's it.
okay, but all I'm saying is you shouldn't just be like, oh my God, give every trans kid
That's not
puberty
what's
blockers.
happening.
No,
Nobody's advocating for that. Not one person.
the
But you
ADHD
are
wait
advocating
time.
for puberty blockers.
Yeah, because
For children that need
absolutely.
them.
We're
Not
not
others
advocating
that
for kids who
don't.
don't need them to get them.
Oh, my
Okay, do you think a child can decide at 12 or 13 whether they want to be a mother and father?
Oh my God.
Just answer the question.
No.
No.
So,
They're not
how
comparable.
can they decide whether they want to be infertile?
Your comparison is ridiculous.
It's not
How
about
can they
wanting.
decide? How
Again,
can they
it's like
possibly
you said you
understand
agreed. Hold
the
on. You said you agreed when we said we were
risks
treating the
and
child where
side
they're at.
effects?
You said you agreed when we said we were treating the child where they're at, right? And where the concern would be the child's mental health at the time, not the potential, like the potentially rare side effect that they may be infertile. It's worth the risk to treat the child at that time. If they need puberty blockers because their puberty is causing them such extreme distress that they can't function in daily life, it's worth the risk.
I'm not being look, and this is going to be like really morbid, right? But say for example, you're like too concerned about the side effects of your child, and you're like, no, you're too young. You're too young to make this choice. Don't worry, you don't know the risks, whatever. Okay, 12 more months down the line, that child might unalive themselves because now they're probably experiencing changes they didn't want to experience in the first place.
Yeah.
But now it's become almost reality, and now your choice is, instead of listening to the health professionals and listening to your child, now this child is going through major changes that they didn't want, and now you could face the possibility of them not being with you at all. Okay, forget infertility; they unalive themselves.
That is a potential risk of not putting a child that needs puberty blockers on puberty blockers.
Uh-huh.
Again,
What's
all trans kids to go on puberty blockers. In the United States, only about 2.5% of trans kids go on puberty blockers.
when you say a kid needs puberty blockers, how do you
Because the benefits would
Well,
outweigh the
okay.
risks for that child.
Jeez, okay.
Needs ADHD medication. How do you justify when a kid needs antidepressants? Like, what? Because every child's needs are different.
So as long as the
I just-
benefits of the medication outweighs the risks of the medication,
Literally.
that's how it works. If the
How
benefits
do you,
do not outweigh the
um,
risk, then they don't get prescribed the medication.
I wanted to point out one thing too, that earlier you said something about birth control and how you have to be old enough to make that decision. But I was 12 years old when I was put on birth control.
I was gonna ask that. What is the age? Because that's a thing, right?
I was 12. I started menstruating early, so that it wasn't necessarily to be used as a contraception. It was to regulate my bleeding because I had a lot of it. So, like, it's not something that, like, it's used in a similar way that puberty blockers are used. So,
Right, because there's also sorry, trigger warning, guys. I don't know why this would be upsetting to some of you, but it may be. There's also a risk of bleeding too much. Like that happened to me. Then I ended up anemic, and you don't want a young child to be anemic. So that's why, like, sometimes birth control, the benefits will outweigh the risks, even if you're 12.
Yeah, I think just
in the
um
UK, sorry, just
sorry,
quickly,
go on.
in the UK, obviously, it was like only 5 years ago that boys started to get the vaccine, but HPV and all these other vaccines that girls would get in school that boys didn't get, right? Now, obviously, I don't know. It's completely off subject of gender, but obviously HPV is long term, and all these other infections that you can get are long term. They're lifelong. Obviously, these professionals are like the risks of this vaccine are nothing compared to the benefits. The fact you could stop illnesses and diseases. And for a lot of it, like HPV and all that, can cause some really serious lifelong effects for women. Some really bad ones, in fact, like infertility. Like you don't like forget medication. Like actual infections and diseases can cause women to be infertile, right? So these vaccines really outweigh the risks. The benefits outweigh the risks anyway, right? And you've probably had that vaccine. I went and got my vaccine only like last year. Like you do it because the pros outweigh the risks. And for a lot of women, they'd rather have that vaccine than take the risk of catching certain infections and becoming infertile anyway, if not worse.
Males do actually get the HPV vaccine now as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
we got it. They started doing it in schools like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, they do it here now too. Not in school because we don't do shit in schools, but yeah.
As well, you talk about, supporting your kid and being there for your kid, which is, of course, really important. And of course, that's what you want to do. You want to be the best parent you can be. But my concern would also be if my child was trans, I would be very concerned for them, like going into
Well, hold on a second,
public
though. My
kind of
concern
like
is
social
No,
situations.
hold on. My concern is not about being the best parent I can be. That's not what it's about. It's about my children getting the support that they need. It's not about my personal needs. It's about my child's mental health. It's about my child's physical health. It's not, I don't care what people
Wanting to be the best parent you can be isn't like, that's me wanting to be good for my child. That's not a personal thing.
sure, but some people
I'm not doing that
they're
so I
being-
can post it on
some
social
people
media
can
and be
think
like,
that
oh my
they're-
God, I'm such a good mom.
Some people
Like,
can think that they're being the best mom they can be when they're actually discarding their child's feelings because they think that not getting their children gender affirming care is being the best parent they can be because they could be potentially, well, they do think, oh, harming my child, but it has to do with their personal reputation. That's not a good parent.
no. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about would be kind of like,
Well, I know what you're talking
I'd
about.
be more concerned that my child would be open to kind of bullying, and because it's, we know it happens to trans people.
Yeah, so what
We
do
know
you do?
bullying is happening to trans people.
Great,
Like,
so can
I
you
would just be
prevent-
concerned.
Can you prevent your child from being trans though?
No?
Did you tell your child to hide themselves and change who they are because they may get bullied?
Like, what? Can you repeat that, sorry?
Did you tell your child to hide themselves or change who they are to prevent them from being bullied?
No. I
So
never,
yeah,
like,
of course I'm absolutely concerned about having a transgender child in this society. That's why I fucking do this every day.
I think it's so really important for you to recognize that sometimes we think a lot of things about how we will be when we become a parent, but when we actually are a parent and we're faced with these situations and we're presented with different information that changes our mind, then, listen to our children instead. We go against what we previously thought. And it's really difficult to understand when you're not actually in the situation, but it's not meant for you to understand. It's just meant for you to know what's going on and support those going through each situation.
So, I do have a question about earlier that you were asking. I was waiting until everyone was done talking. So, because of the side effects, is that the only reason that you're not supporting puberty blockers for kids?
No, I suppose that wouldn't be the only reason. I do think it's a very drastic and big decision for a child to
You
make.
know
Yeah.
that, like, they're at Mel and Co. and everyone there in the States isn't going to the 7-Eleven and getting puberty blockers, right?
Of course, I know that. Yeah.
Okay, they have to have like a doctor team evaluate, understand. It's a time thing. There's certain criteria with gender dysphoria, right?
Yeah. I do
you're
think
trusting-
it's important. I think puberty
trusting the team.
is a horrible time for kids, and it's a really confusing time, and their hormones are raging. And I think it kind of is important to let puberty happen for them for like a year or two, because it's just such a big change.
So here's the thing again, and this is why I brought up the whole like the good mother, bad mother thing, right? I think if you're talking about trying to make this decision, right, saying like, oh no, I think my kid needs to go through puberty, or I wouldn't want to put them on puberty blockers anyway because it's a big decision. Again, you're worried about yourself and your own personal reputation, and ignoring science, ignoring recommendations for that child, and ignoring your child's mental health and well-being. That's what you're doing, because you're worried about your own personal reputation.
I don't think that's true. I think as a parent, it's your duty to protect your child from the world around you and your child.
You're going against the recommendations for your kid. That's not protecting your child. That is you being worried about yourself.
No, I wouldn't agree with that. But look, I'm just glad they changed the law over here anyway. So
Solution then, would you be like, oh, my kid needs to be 18?
yeah, I would look for if
Why?
my kid was if my kid was trans, I would probably want them to be, or look for them to be at least 16 plus before any serious decision, and definitely going to a therapist and all that.
Why?
Why?
Mhm.
Because it's, you know,
Because you're worried about your own
some
personal
people
reputation.
think they're trans
Because you're
and they're
worried
not
about your
trans.
own personal reputation,
No.
and that if you supported your child and you were wrong, that you're going to look stupid. So then you're not
No.
worried about your child and your child's mental health and your child's well-being. You're worried about how you are going to look if you support your child, and for some reason you're wrong.
Nope, it's because the brain doesn't finish developing
Well, that's
until your
not why,
20s.
because if you're going to go by that, then you'd go by 25. Do you think nobody should get any type of medical care under 25?
What kind of question is that now? Come on.
Yeah, that's fucking
Be real.
stupid. That's why I'm saying you're just against
Woo.
kids being trans, and you don't want to support them if they are one. I talk to people like this all the time. The brain development, you don't give a shit about that. It doesn't matter. Because if you
Of
did,
course I do.
you can't get gender affirming care until you're 25.
Well, I think that's a good idea, to be honest, but whatever.
Are you going to
Then you
apply,
don't give a shit about your kid.
are you going to apply that same logic to people who are gay and lesbian, bisexual?
I thought sexuality had nothing to do with gender.
I'm asking you that simple question,
Doesn't.
yes or no.
That's why he said, would you hold the same logic for a different situation?
Gender and sexuality are not the same, but just answer my question, right? Like, are you going to apply this same logic to because conversion therapy is still legal in the UK? So are you going to apply the same logic there that people under the age of 25 can't disclose their sexuality, and therefore they must be subject to awful treatment up until the age of 25 when they can finally decide for themselves? Is that what you're saying?
No, obviously not. That's not what I'm saying.
Right, okay then, there you go.
Right, because there's nothing, like, you don't feel like there's any type of permanent anything, right? So if a kid is like a gay, you're like, oh, okay, well, oh well. But for some reason, because you feel like you're not going to trust your transgender child, you're going to
No,
wait
if
until it's out of your hands.
if a 9-year-old child came out as gay to me, I'd probably be like, okay, that's fine. But I wouldn't completely I wouldn't completely, how would you say, 100% like believe them until they had reached the age of puberty. Because puberty is like such a crazy time for children.
Oh my God, do you believe straight kids when they're 9?
Puberty's got nothing to do.
Nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it.
God,
I was
puberty has everything to
5
do with it.
years
It's
old. I was
hormones.
a
It's like
5-year-old. I was a
you're
5-year-old
not attracted to
girl.
people when you're 9 years old.
I was a 5-year-old girl attracted to boys. It has nothing to do with puberty.
I think when I was
Some
like,
little boys, I thought they were cute.
Wait, do you think you're attracted to? Okay, do you think children are attracted to each other like
Yes.
properly though? Like
Properly attracted? All right, I have to go. I'm running out of time here. You are
it's
worried
more.
about your own
Come on,
personal
you know what I
reputation.
mean.
If you have a child who's actually suffering from gender dysphoria and they can't get out of bed and they can't brush their teeth and they have severe depression and anxiety and they're not going to school, I hope that you're not going to fucking ignore your kid.
Of course I wouldn't.
You said you
You're
would.
putting words in my mouth, like, and you've been doing it to everyone else on this
that
live as
child,
well.
okay, great. That child has been recommended puberty blockers, and the benefits will outweigh the risks. So you're going to put them on puberty blockers?
What was that?
That child that I just described to you, right, has been recommended puberty blockers. They're your kid, recommended puberty blockers, and the benefits for that child will outweigh the risks. Will you put them on puberty blockers?
Depends on the age, and depends on a load of other circumstances.
What circumstances?
John Tan, your child is coming.
It's not
to
all
you.
that simple. Like
All
you're
right,
making
okay.
it out to be the most simple thing
your,
ever.
Your 11-year-old
Is that
child.
simple?
Your 11-year-old child is not brushing their teeth. They're in bed. They're not eating. They're not drinking. They're not talking to nobody. They're perhaps maybe doing things in the bedroom they shouldn't be doing. Okay.
That's depression.
Depression can be a symptom of gender dysphoria, and it can be
Gender dysphoria isn't the same as being trans.
No.
Oh, my brain hurts.
So I'm confused what you're talking about.
Treating. Oh my God, gender dysphoria is what's causing all these symptoms that I just described to you.
But you said not all trans people have gender dysphoria.
No, but if a child is being recommended for puberty blockers, they have to have a gender dysphoria diagnosis. Which means that child is suffering and they need treatment, and you're denying that treatment based on your own personal reputation, not on your child's well-being.
That's not true. You're literally just you're actually
Then why
just
would
putting
you
words
say
in my
no?
mouth. I've never
Why
said
would you say
anything
no?
about my reputation.
Why would you say no then? You're worried that your child's going to be angry with you, that when they grow up, they
Because
may be
it's your
infertile.
duty as a parent to look after your child, to do what's best for your child. Child can't make
refusing to do what's
good.
best
A
for your
child
child.
cannot make informed decisions. Their
Can
brain
I-
has not
can
finished
I
developing.
ask you-
Refusing to do
Can I
what's
ask
best
you-
for your child in this situation.
Sorry, Mel. Could I ask you one question before Mel ends? Let's hypothetically, you're a parent. Your child has left a notebook on their bed saying, "Mommy keeps calling me a boy and I'm a girl and I don't want to be on Earth anymore. I'm going to leave
This
Earth."
is so like
It's
you're
not
This
making
is
up
what
such
happens,
specific
Em.
scenarios.
This is what
Reality.
Because
happens.
we've all gone through
funny.
it, Anne.
That's
Okay.
literally what happens.
Okay, sorry, continue.
Why the fuck did you think that was funny?
Why bother continue? She's not worth it.
It's just like you're like imagine this
worried about your
situation
own
where
It's
you're
it's
doing
because
this
it's
and doing
happened
this.
to every single one of us.
The way people downplay like SI when it comes to children is unfucking believable.
I was going to say I'm sorry that you went through all of that, but
This is a very common experience with transgender children, and you're just ignoring it, even if it was your own fucking kid. Bye, friends.